Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Jnana Diksha, a source of learning and a concept based learning. I am Harish B, DL in Physics, TTWRDC, Manuguru. Today, I am here to explain concept of statistical mechanics for BSc. So, before going to the concept of statistical mechanics, I would like to explain some basic concepts related to physics. First and foremost thing in the physics is mechanics. Mechanics is a branch of physics which deals with the application of motion and motion of objects related to that, and it also deals with the what happens to energy, velocity and displacements when force is applied. And here we generally use Newton's laws of motion. And then second mechanics which we generally discuss is classical mechanics. Classical mechanics deals with the motion of microscopic objects. Here we deal with the motion of rigid objects. At the same time we call that as molecular dynamics. So if you take some things like see sphere or cylinder, we can easily explain the motion of those rigid objects by using classical mechanics. Here also Newton's laws of motion are most familiarly used. Then if you go further, quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is a branch of physics which generally deals with the properties of microscopic objects. See, classical mechanics generally deals with the microscopic objects, macroscopic objects, and this quantum mechanics deals with the microscopic objects. Here the basic difference is it always investigates the properties of those microscopic constituents. Generally when we go further, this quantum mechanics it deals with the interaction of subatomic particles with matter, and also it incorporates basic laws in quantum mechanics like wave particle duality, uncertainty principle and quantum theory of radiation. Okay, here the equation which generally familiarly we use is Schrodinger's equation. Okay, so next there is another type of branch or in thermodynamics, so which we call it as thermal physics or thermodynamics, which deals with the transformation of heat energy into mechanical work, and also we call that as transformation of heat energy into other forms also, other forms of energies such as chemical, potential, some metallurgical energies, all those things are discussed here. So before going into broad view of this statistical mechanics, let me categorize my presentation into different topics. Here I start with origin and introduction to statistical mechanics, then I go for study of statistical mechanics, then methods of statistical mechanics, then concept of phase space, then I go with this concept of probability, ensemble and types, then I go with approach to study different statistics and distribution functions. Okay, here I start with, see already I discussed this regarding this mechanics, classical mechanics and quantum mechanics, thermodynamics. Okay, now I go for a case study. So here there is a question, why do we need statistical mechanics? So statistical mechanics generally relates with these case studies, because classical laws or general laws of motion are failed in explaining these case studies. So suppose if I start with so generally if you want to have a perfect knowledge of the universe, you must have at any time you should measure position and momentum of those particles which are present in the nature. Means in the universe there are different objects exist. So you have to start with those fundamental concepts of measuring position and velocities from evolution of universe to till end. So it is highly impossible to go to the beginning of the evolution of the universe and then go with its end. So since we are human beings, we cannot start with evolution of the universe and we cannot go till its end. So even here uncertainty principle, generally uncertainty principle, what does it do? It does state that we are not concerned with, we can measure only position and momentum at least only one thing at a time. But here if we clearly see that evolution of going to evolution of the universe and going to its end is highly possible. So here we this classical physics whatever we study is failed in explaining this this one. Okay, next, motion of different objects. Next we go for this typical problem, flipping of 100 coins. See, when we flip a coin, definitely we can stay there and we can know the physical condition of the system. Before tossing only, we can simply say that whether we get one head or tail. So that depends on how we toss, and that is the condition of probability. So based on that condition, we get whether it is head or tail. If we then how do we predict when we use 100 coins? Means if you want to toss 100 coins together, then what happens here? There is equal probability that there is no equal probability, because we don't know which coin is going to be flipped and which coin is going to be giving result or head or tail. So in this case also, this classical mechanics failed in explaining probability concept. And next one is familiar thing. You take a real gas where it is consisting of n particles, means n molecules you can say. So considering n molecules like 10 power 23 order of, because n is Avogadro's number, where it has 6.023 into 10 power 23 molecules. So in order to consider its behavior, we need to study 10 power 23 equations of motion, which is highly impossible. Moreover, gas molecules collide among themselves and also with the walls of the containing vessel. So here the position and momentum of these particles or molecules is not constant, that vary. So definitely here this one whatever we speak, classical mechanics failed in explaining motion of such molecules. Next, if you take a radioactive decay of group of atoms, here you take a material, there you have n number of atoms, and we don't know, if you study that radioactive decay, we don't know which atom of the radioactive material is getting decayed. Okay, here also classical laws or whatever the motion of these objects are failed in if you take radioactive material into consideration. Then we go for a case of an atom with more than 2 electrons present in it. Means you take an atom, it may be having 2 or 3 electrons. So you have to study the microscopic nature of those electron system. So here also it is, however, the case study, and no one has solved the equation of motion of this particular case by using ordinary laws of mechanics. Then I go with this one, need to study statistical mechanics. So here we have studied evolution of the universe, second is flipping of 100 coins, and we have taken this different cases like gas consisting of 10 power 23 molecules, and we have taken this also radioactive decay of a material. Then I go with this an atom consisting of 2-3 electrons to study its motion. So in these 5 cases, classical mechanics or whatever you say ordinary laws of mechanics failed. So then there is a need to study statistical mechanics. So this is a branch of physics which establishes the relation between macroscopic properties of the system in terms of microscopic properties. So I want you to study this macro states and micro states before going to this one. Okay, see, generally macro states are nothing but those are state variables. What are state variables? Generally, state variables are those properties, or we can, if we consider those are properties, those properties generally describe the gross characteristics of the system. So they generally they can be directly measured in the laboratory, and they can be directly experienced by our sense of perception. So here in this case macroscopic properties are more used. So the examples of macro states or macroscopic properties are pressure, temperature, volume, energy, something like that. Okay. Next we go with micro states. Micro states are generally position and momentum, we call that as micro states, but microscopic properties are dealt with the internal structure of an atom is studied with the help of this microstates or microscopic properties. And again we go with this, they cannot be measured directly in the laboratory, they cannot be experienced by our usual sense of perception, they are meant for study of internal structure of the system. Whereas if you take this macrostates, they are not at all related to this internal structure of the system. So we use microstate or microscopic properties in order to design the structure of an atom. Okay. Then what are these thermodynamic variables? Thermodynamic variables are nothing but these are the variables which describe the state of a thermodynamic system. Means we also call them as thermodynamic coordinates. Generally these thermodynamic variables they generally study the equation of motions of thermodynamic system. Okay. Then a system, any quantity of matter enclosed in a container. So what do we call it as system? Okay. So there are different types of systems. Generally we studied, you might have studied as part of your lower classes are concerned. So open system, closed system and isolated system. What is open system here? Open system is a system which can exchange energy as well as number of particles with the surroundings. And closed system, if you go for closed system, we have it is a system which can exchange both only energy, not matter with the surrounding. Means number of particles are not exchanged, only quantity of heat is getting exchanged. And isolated, the meaning of isolated system or isolated itself, it indicates that it is separated. Means separated means it does not exchange matter or energy with the surroundings. Then see need to study statistical mechanics. Study of statistical mechanics is generally explained by using macroscopic properties in terms of microscopic properties. Means macroscopic properties are nothing but they use gross characteristics of the system. Okay. Generally, and those are describing the actual system here, but here it builds a relation between macroscopic properties and microscopic properties. So actually what happens here is it does not investigate the property of one system. So one particle, it does not study a property of one particle. What happens here is it studies a group, I mean it takes a particle from group and studies its behavior. So since these all are identical particle, the behavior which this particular particle is having, same behavior is exhibited by that group. So study of one particle is mere enough in order to know the nature of the system. And again it go for one group, other group, and it takes one particle from the group, and obviously it studies its behavior so that the system is having same behavior. Okay. So here you can see in the diagram where quantum mechanical system or classical mechanics, where we are dealt with in classical mechanics generally we use Newton's laws, and in quantum mechanics we use this Schrodinger's equations of motion. So this statistical mechanics establishes relation between thermodynamic variables or thermodynamics and that what we study this classical mechanics or quantum mechanics. Okay. It is acting like a bridge. And one more thing that I would like to tell you regarding statistical mechanics is it explains fluctuations. So random fluctuations like situations like random walk are well being explained by this statistical mechanics. Then okay, see here what does it consider? It consider mechanical properties or individual molecules, and it also takes thermodynamic properties into consideration. It takes the average of all the molecules, it also takes the average of time, then it goes with this thermodynamic, it establishes relation between mechanical properties of the system and thermodynamic properties. Okay. So simply it is taking time average, it is taking average of molecules, and it is trying to establish a relation between both macroscopic properties and individual and properties of individual particles. See, then we go here we go with method of statistical mechanics. See, I already told you there are some particles which the study of motion of which cannot be explained by this ordinary laws of mechanics. But here if you see this one, statistical mechanics, it is the study of its basic nature is classified into two types sorry, classical statistics and quantum statistics. So first one is classical statistics. So classical statistics, generally we call it as Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics, and quantum statistics. Quantum statistics is generally we call it as Fermi, it is broadly classified into two types, Fermi-Dirac statistics or Bose-Einstein statistics. So here this classical statistics, we will go with this classical statistics. See, this Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics, it utilizes the classical results of Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution law of molecular speeds. So definitely it is classical, so, and it utilizes the MB, Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution of molecular speeds. It explains some phenomena like temperature, pressure, energy of a gas can be explained very well by this Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. Then it failed in explaining some quantum phenomena like black body radiation, photoelectric effect and specific heat of the system. Okay, that is specific heat that is at low temperature. Specific heat at low temperature is failed by this Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. So here what we are discussing, here we are discussing that it can be explained temperature, pressure and energy, all those quantities very well, but it failed in explaining some quantum quantities like black body radiation, photoelectric effect and specific heat. So then what are classical particles then? So how do we identify a particle is a classical or quantum particle? So generally if mean separation means if you consider any two molecules, the distance among them, distance between them is much greater than that of thermal de Broglie's wavelength, then we call that as that particle is said to be obeying Maxwell's Boltzmann statistics. And here the particles are distinguishable, means you can see and identify those particles. They can be distinguishable, like if you take A and B, here we take A and B only, because A is separate, B is separate. So they can be distinguishable and they are localized. So localized concept comes from this one, mean separation is much greater than that of thermal de Broglie's wavelength. Okay, then I go with this quantum statistics. So quantum statistics begins with this one part of quantum statistics is Fermi-Dirac statistics. So here in case of quantum statistics, we use identical particles. We use identical particles, and it does describe the indistinguishable nature of particles. See, these particles are identical and they are indistinguishable. You cannot distinguish between two particles. So generally the particles that are obeying these Fermi-Dirac statistics are known as fermions. Then the spin of this Fermi-Dirac particles are fermions. So it is having half integral spin. If you consider its angular momentum, it is equal to half n h cross. Okay, so it is having half integral spin only. Okay, and it is obeying Pauli's exclusion principle. What is the meaning of Pauli's exclusion principle? So in your lower classes you might have studied this one. So no two electrons in an atom can have same set of quantum numbers. So here there is a restriction in the case of quantum statistics, that too this Fermi-Dirac statistics especially. So there is only one electron or one particle which is fermion can be placed in each energy level. Okay, so you cannot place many as particles you can. You should place only one particle. That's why we call them as fermions. Okay, then the best examples of fermions are electrons, photons, neutrons. Electrons, protons, neutrons. And see here the main concept of this quantum statistics is this is identical and indistinguishable. You cannot distinguish those particles. Here if I say in terms of de Broglie's wavelength, the mean separation between two particles is very less than that of thermal de Broglie's wavelength. That's why we call them those particles as quantum particles, and statistics are different. We have Fermi-Dirac statistics and Bose-Einstein statistics. Next I go with this Bose-Einstein statistics. So these Bose-Einstein statistics are having particles which are indistinguishable, non-identical and identical and indistinguishable particles. You cannot distinguish those particles, and they are known as bosons. Generally we call those particles as bosons, and here they don't obey Pauli's exclusion principle, unlike you have in the case of Fermi-Dirac distribution, where those particles are fermions obeying Pauli's exclusion principle. But here there is no restriction like that. So you can place any number of particles as you can in each energy state. Okay. Then examples of this are photons, neutral helium atom and alpha particles. Okay. So if I want me to go further, see, this is the way how the classical or quantum distributions are happening. See, let me explain on the blackboard, whiteboard. See, I have a particle. Let me take first distinguishable particles. So what are distinguishable particles? What are distinguishable particles? Nothing but classical particles. They can be distinguished. So I write here it as A and B. So A and B is written here. See, I consider here, I consider two particles A comma B. So I consider two energy levels E0, E1, E2, E3. So since this is a distinguishable particle where we say A and B, I can place A here, I can place B here, and there is one more phenomena where I can place this B here, I can place A here. So I can place AB here, A and B together here. So I can place AB here also. So if I consider this one, I can redistribute this one E1, E2, E3. So I can also place A, B here, and I can also place A here and B here. So in this way you can do any number of arrangements. You can do any number of arrangement by using this distinguishable nature of particles. Then if I go for this indistinguishable nature of particles, or if you take Fermi ions, the particles which are obeying Fermi-Dirac statistics are known as fermions. So if you take fermions, already I told you that there is a restriction that of having one particle in one system. I consider two particles, and since these particles are distinguishable, I have to write this as A comma A only. Not I don't represent this as A and B, I represent this with A and A only. Okay. So here one energy state E1, E2 is the energy state, and here E3 is the energy state. So I can place here A only and here A only, or I can place this E1, E2 and E3 I have. So I can place A here and I also place A here, and there is one more option that I can place A here. So this is the only way possible in the case of fermions. Okay. Then if you go for this Bose particles like bosons, the particles which are obeying Bose-Einstein statistics, here there is no restriction, and you can place any number of particles. Like if it is a boson, I write here it is a boson. So boson means again it is a particle obeying Bose-Einstein statistics, or I write here A comma A only instead of A and B, because it is again indistinguishable particle. So I can place, I have taken three energy shells E1, E2, E3, where I have taken this energy level A. I am placing a particle here A, and I am going to place one more particle A here. I am also place one particle here, and see the other way is I can place A here, and I can also place this A here by removing this here. So I can also place this AA here, and I can also place this AA here. So this is the way, in this way you can arrange n number of configurations. So like classical particles only, bosons also there is no, for bosons also there is no restriction that only one particle should occupy, like boson there is no restriction that only one particle can occupy any energy state. So you can arrange any number of particles as you can. like classical particle. But fermions, there is a restriction that you have to place only one particle in each energy system. So that is, but even though this is distinguishable, boson is a distinguishable particle, indistinguishable particle, and that classical particle is a distinguishable particles, you have to go with the distribution in the same way only. Okay. Then, so this is the way I can describe you. State 1, this is a classical distribution where you can go with having two particles A comma B. So that is a better way to represent that classical distribution. So you can place a particle B in one state, particle A in one state, and AB in other state. So in this way you can distribute the distribution of classical statistics is here. Then if I go for further, this quantum distribution. So in quantum distribution you can use two particles XX only because they are similar and indistinguishable particles. So they this is applicable for the case of bosons, the particles that are obeying Bose-Einstein statistics, because two particles are placed in one state. Yes, you can place for the case of particles obeying Bose-Einstein statistics, but for the case of fermions you cannot, because it is a particle with half integral spin and obey Pauli's exclusion principle. Only one particle that you have to place, then only you will get the result of such a system. Okay. This is a diagram which represents 6 particles having 20 distributions. 20 distributions are possible for the case of classical particles. Even that is applicable for the particles like bosons also, but not for the case of fermions, because in one state maximum one electron or one fermion you can keep and go with that. Okay. Then what is statistical? Next concept is statistical mechanics. What is statistical mechanics? Let us consider a system having n thermodynamic isolated. So it is a thermodynamic isolated system consisting of n particles. Okay. And again we go with let n1 particles are having energy E1, small n1 particles are having energy E1, and small n2 particles are having energy E2, and small n3 particles are having energy E3. So if I go with I can write capital N equal to summation over Ni, and capital E equal to N1 E1 plus N2 E2 plus N3 E3, so on. See, this is if you consider a molecule, there is a collision between two molecules and also with the walls of the containing vessel. See, at a particular distribution, this one actually this N1, N2, N3 are continuously exchanging, because they are hitting molecules are hitting among themselves and also with the walls of the containing vessel. At a particular distribution, what do we call it, is a most favorable distribution is reached, where the exchange of these energies exchange of these number of particles are changed and system acquires equilibrium. That equilibrium is called statistical equilibrium. So at a particular position, at a particular field, what happens, the exchange of number of particles are getting stopped, and you go with the most favorable distribution. Okay. There is no exchange of energy also. Okay. So that particular state is called equilibrium, which is known as statistical equilibrium. Then we go for this phase space. So it is a 3-dimensional space in order to describe the motion of an object. So in order to describe the motion of an object or particle, you take a particle. So the location of a particle, the state of a particle can be represented by completely by 3 position coordinates. So these 3 position coordinates are called x, y, z. So this is a alignment or where we can place a particle, so that the 3 coordinates can be used to describe its motion. So this particular space is called position space. Next one is there is a space called momentum space. How do we define this one? It is a 3-dimensional space in which the momentum of the particle is completely specified by 3 momentum coordinates. So the momentum of a particle is completely specified by 3 momentum coordinates, that we call it as a momentum space. So how do I represent? The combination of position space and the momentum space is called phase space. Okay. So here it is a 6-dimensional space. We also call it as a mu space. Mu space means we have 6 coordinates where 3 coordinates are position x, y, z, 3 coordinates are related with this momentum. Okay. So, a point representing its instantaneous state of a particle is known as phase point. So, if you take a particle, so a point, if it represent the instantaneous state of a particular state, this is generally known as this is phase point. Then this is phase space. So, I have taken on x axis, I have taken position coordinates, I represent that with r, and I have taken momentum on y axis. So, there was a graph between both of them. So, this is a phase space. Okay. Now, I can divide this phase space into different volumes, like if V is the volume of the phase space, I can divide delta V1, delta V2, delta V3, delta V4, something like that. So, I can define those terms in terms of volume also. Again, phase density, there is a term called phase density, the number of particles per unit volume in the particular phase space is generally we define it as a phase density of phase space. Okay. Here there are some trajectories that I represent. The first one is described with this one is described with position space, second one is described with momentum space, and there if you take a simple harmonic oscillator where it has the equation of it can be written as E equal to half x square plus p square by 2m. So, if I bring E downwards, so that the equation becomes p square by 2m plus half k x square by E. So, that is generally it represents an equation of ellipse. So, I have drawn a diagram, phase trajectory by taking position on x axis and momentum on y axis. Generally, this will be a ellipse, that is the equation representing an ellipse. So, here you consider the last two diagrams where it does describe the motion of a freely falling body. So, different bodies having different velocities. So, velocity changes, definitely momentum changes. So, this is the equation which these two graphs represents an object with which is freely falling. Then it is a diagram which is phase space for bouncing ball. Okay. Now, you have taken something like position on x axis and momentum on y axis. So, whenever you take a ball, you just throw it onto the ground. So, it bounces first, again it rebounces, but as the time is progressing, as the time is getting increased, so here the motion of that particular ball is getting reduced. So, the height through which it reaches to the top will be reducing. So, that is why I represented three diagrams, 3 phase spaces where it represents the motion of phase space for bouncing ball. See, here there is a description that P comma Q, it is taken on Q means nothing but a position which is taken on x axis, momentum is taken on y axis. I consider one molecule only. So, for one molecule I am drawing this phase space and degrees of freedom is 3. So, here I have taken Q1, Q2, Q3. So, because the degree of freedom for such a particular phase space is 3, and I have taken P1, P2, P3 equal to 3. So, what is the dimension of that phase space? That is equal to 6. And if you consider second diagram where I have this one molecule and degree of freedom f. So, here I have to write Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on f number, because degree of freedom in each in that particular phase space is f. So, again I write P1, P2, P3 equal to f. So, total number of dimension of that particular phase space is 2f. For the first case you have considered one molecule and degree of freedom is 3. So, dimension what you got is 3 only, but here in the case here you got 6 for that first one you got 6 and here you got 2f. Okay. Now, I already told you, you can divide the volume of the phase space into different entities of volume. So, I have divided like volume is written as dq1. See, I write here. See, it is a phase space. Let us say this is one molecule and degree of DOF, degree of freedom equal to 3f. So, I have taken q means position on x axis and q on p on y axis, means momentum on y axis. Now, I have divided this phase space into different entities. Okay, each of this entity is giving us a volume. So, how do I write volume? Delta V equal to, so here let it be dq1, here I have dq2 and here I have delta q3, dq3, and along y axis I can divide, I write delta p1, delta p2, delta p3. Okay. So, then delta V can be written as delta p1 into delta p2 into delta p3 multiplied by delta q1 into delta q2 into delta q3. So, if I bring this one delta V equal to, I write this as delta p1 into delta q1. I can also write this as delta p2. I wrote delta p2 and delta q2 together, that is it, delta q2, and I also write delta q3 and delta p3 here. Okay, this is p2. Okay, then what does this according to uncertainty principle, what does it describe? Delta p into delta q, it describes what does it describe? It describes H, because the product of momentum and this position is equal to H. So, again the product of momentum and position is equal to H. Here I have 1H, here I have 1H, here also I have 1H, because position and momentum multiply is of the order of H. So, delta V equal to H cube. I can write the entire volume of the phase space equal to H cube, where 3 is equal to degrees of freedom. So, since we consider 3 degrees of freedom, I got volume of the phase space as H cube, which is equal to dimension of the, which is equal to degrees of freedom. Okay. Then there is another concept, what do we call it as? Ensemble. Ensemble is a type where if you consider one particle in a system, we call it as a system. So, we can consider that as a system. If you consider one particle, we can assume that as a system, and if you consider many number of such a systems, we call that as assembly. And if you consider such a large number of assemblies which are bounded together, we call them as ensemble. Okay. If you consider one particle, we call it as a system, and if you consider second particle, it is also called system, and if you consider them together, it is called assembly. And if such a large number of assemblies are bounded to form ensemble, here there is a definition: large number of similar, non-interacting and identical systems which are grouped together. So, a large number of similar, non-interacting, identical systems which are grouped together, we call that as an ensemble. Okay. So, here in the case of ensemble, the ensembles may have same macroscopic state, but different microscopic approach. So, we can study different microstates there, but same macroscopic view will be there for the case of ensemble. Then I begin with ensemble is a large number of similar, non-interacting and independent systems. So, I can classify ensemble into 3 types. First one is microcanonical ensemble. Microcanonical ensemble, which is we call it as EVN. Next, canonical ensemble, what do we call? We represent that with TVN, and I also call grand canonical ensemble, which is represented with TVM. What is this EVN in the case of microcanonical ensemble? What is this TVN in the case of canonical ensemble? And what is this grand TVmu in the case of grand canonical ensemble? This is nothing but a macro state of a system. We represent the macro state of a system with like that, because even in thermodynamics also we used to represent the state of a system with pressure, volume, temperature. So, in the same way the macroscope of a system here is described with EVN for the case of microcanonical ensemble, and TVN in the case of canonical ensemble, and grand canonical ensemble we can represent this with TV mu. See, here we go with this microcanonical ensemble. So, it is microcanonical ensemble, it is a collection of assemblies, or we can say that it is collection of ensembles where it is having same energy, volume V and number of particles. So, there is, it is considered like an isolated system, there is no exchange of energy and matter with the surroundings. Okay. So, we represent generally this with EVN, because EVN is macro state of a system. If you clearly observe this diagram where the system is having rigid, impermeable and insulated walls. So, there is no scope of other particle to enter into the system, there is no scope of other energy to enter into the system. So, here the walls are separated, individual assemblies are separated by rigid, impermeable and insulated walls. Okay. They are stable, they are so it does not exchange any energy or matter with the surroundings, that is why we call that as micro canonical ensemble. So, here what are constant? Everything is constant, what is present in the case of that macro state. EVN, E means energy, V means volume, N means number of particles. Then I go for this canonical ensemble. This canonical ensemble was introduced by Gibbs. So, he lived between 1839 and 1903. So, here the canonical ensemble generally it is represented with TVN, means there is one thing you can observe the difference between microcanonical ensemble and this canonical ensemble. There is exchange of energy here, there is no presence of energy when you represent the macro state of canonical ensemble. See, here it is represented with TVN. Here what happens here is energy is getting exchanged with other systems, but there is no exchange of number of particles. Here the walls are of this canonical ensemble are separated by rigid, impermeable and diathermic walls. So, diathermic walls are allowing it to exchange some energy with the surroundings. See, here you have taken a large reservoir and the molecules it is macro state is represented with a TVN where energy is getting exchanged and number of particles are not getting exchanged, and here number of systems is tending to infinity. Okay. So, next I go with this grand canonical ensemble. So, for the case of this canonical ensemble we can call this as a closed system, because in the closed system energy can be exchanged, but matter cannot be, means number of particles cannot be. But here we can consider for the case of grand canonical ensemble we treat that as open system, open to all. Open to all means number of particles can be exchanged and the matter can be exchanged. Matter is nothing but number of particles and energy also both getting exchanged here. So, here it is useful to open systems and mixtures, and here walls are replaced by permeable walls. So, there you took permeable in the case of microcanonical ensemble you have taken rigid walls and impermeable walls, but here the walls are rigid and permeable. Okay. So, here permeable means it is permitting the energy to flow from one system to other system, it is permitting this one number of particles to flow from one system to other system. Here what the macro state of this is represented with VT mu. What is V here? Volume, T means temperature and mu is chemical potential. Here what the new thing here come is mu. Mu means chemical potential. Okay. So, the macro state of it is represented by TV mu. Okay. So, here also number of systems or number of ensembles that is tending to infinity. Okay. Then I go with this probability. So, in the lower classes you might have discussed regarding this probability. Okay. So, how do we study a probability? So, already I was explaining you regarding the motion of 100 coins. When you flip 100 coins, what is its result? Okay. I have taken a coin, I flipped it. So, there is equal probability that the result is either head or a tail. but if I take generally so there is equal probability. So how I can define this can be defined in the way that you have P of E equal to N of E by N of S, means N of E is nothing but number of events and number of events that are possible. So N of S is nothing but number of events that are total number of events, sample space. Take 2 dice, here you have 1 to 6 numbers are represented in each die. So there are 6 possibilities here, that is represented with this green tree, and again that is each possibility is giving 6 results. So if you take one particular case where you are throwing a 2 dice, so one is giving it can give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that whenever you throw such type of dice. Okay, then so these are the results. See, when 2 dice are tossed, this is the result, 36 arrangements, 36 sample spaces you can give, so that there is possibility like 1 1, 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5, 1 6, so on 6 6. So 36 possibilities you have. So examples. Then here my basic question, what is the probability that sum is 7? So for that you have to write sample space, 2 dice are tossed. So here you get the possibility either it is 1 6 or 6 1 or 2 5 or 5 2 and 4 3. So here what are the total number of possible events here? Total number of N of E, that is represented by N of E here. So what are the total number of possible events? That is 6, because 6 macro states you can write 1 6, 6 1, 2 5, 5 2 and 4 3. 6 macro states are possible. So 6 divided by total number of sample space is 36. So 6 divided by 36 equal to 1 by 6. So this is the probability when you want to have a sum 7. Then when a coin is tossed, so when 2 coins are tossed, so what is the probability that you want to have head? So you have to write a sample space for that, HH, HT, TH, TT, means at least one head is possible when you write that. So when a coin is tossed, either it gives head or tail, other coin is tossed, it gives head or tail. So 2 heads are possible at a time and 1 head and tail is possible, and tail and head is possible, only 2 tails are possible at any time. So what is the possibility that we can have at least 1 head? So that is 3, possibility is 3, because number of events that we are going to get is 3. So that 3 is divided by total number of events equal to what we call 4. 3 by 4 it equal to 0.75, which is equal to 75. So similarly we can take this as example, where you have 52 cards, you play cards generally, some people play cards. So there each set is called like a club. You have club which is having 13 coins, 13 cards, and spade it is also having 13 cards, and heart and diamond. So each one is having 13 cards. Now what is the probability to select a one card? So definitely, because we have 52 cards, probability of selecting one card is equal to 1 by 52. I want to have probability of getting at least a red. Red means here you have 2 sets of reds, means with a set consisting of 13 cards. So total 26 cards you have as a red. So what is the probability to have a red card? 26 divided by that 52, which is equal to 1 by 2. Okay. Then like that, what is the probability to have an ace? Ace means in each set we have 1 ace. So total 4 sets we have. So 4 divided by 52, what does it gives? It gives result 4 by 52, which is equal to 1 by 13. So like that we can calculate for many things. So statistical weights. Statistical weight is equal to number of possible. See, it is the distribution said to be more probable when there is greater number of ways of arranging particles in the given arrangement, given available energies. So N of E is total number of ways which we can arrange, which is equal to G of E, F of E. So here G of E is nothing but what do we call it as density of states, which is equal to number of states per unit volume. We call it as statistical weight. So Fe denotes the average number of particles in the energy state E. It is also denoted, it is called distribution function. Okay. So number of particles are related with density of state multiplied by this distribution function. So we have this different distributions, classical distribution which is called as Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. We also have Fermi-Dirac distribution. We also have this Bose-Einstein distribution. Here the case is the distribution is different. So for every distribution there is a distribution function. So that defines the actual the way how it is how the particles are distributed. So the particles are distributed in any way. See here the Boltzmann showed that statistical factor e power minus beta is a characteristics of any classical system. So I write the distribution function as f mb equal to a e power minus beta a. So what does this distribution function describe about? It describes about how the particles are distributed within the energy level, how they are occupied. So this is what the number of available energy states. This whatever these things we discussed are dealt by this distribution function. So I write f mb equal to a e power minus beta e. So here you can see that f mb gives the relative probability that an energy state is occupied at given temperature. If you take an energy state, it is occupied at a given temperature. That is dealt by this distribution function. Distribution function mainly deals with the how particles are distributed within the given cell, how the particles, the ways we can distribute the particles within the given cell. Okay. Then see, this is a correction. Here we can obtain the relation for distribution function of Maxwell-Boltzmann, where we can take number of particles like n, n1, n2, n3, and I also take some energies like E1, E2, E3. So always the differentiation of that number of particles equal to 0, because always I treat number of particles as constant, and I also take that summation over Ei dni equal to 0, because differentiation of dni equal to 0. So here we can use Stelling's formula. If you know, I think you might have studied this Stelling's formula, n log n factorial. What is n here? Total number of particles. So that can be written as n log n minus n. So here here I am writing log w. Log w is, what is w here? Number of microstates. Number of microstates can be written as log n factorial by n1 factorial, n2 factorial, n3 factorial into gi whole power ni. How do I get this one? This is I can get this by using take n particles. I want to distribute n1 particles in from that. So I write probability, and again I write I have taken n2 particles. I have to distribute n2 particles from remaining n minus n1 particles. So total distribution will be like this. So if I apply log and I want to differentiate, and we can use this one also, log w equal to 0, because at maximum level we use this distribution function log w equal to 0, dou log w by dou n I equal to 0. So I can use the method of method to determine this one, method of undetermined multipliers. So constant should be multiplied with this one. See, I multiplied, first equation I have is log omega, differentiation of log omega with respect to ni, number of particles in each state, and I have to multiply with minus alpha to dni, summation over dni. I multiply this beta with summation over Ei dni. So I want to add everything. So when I add both things to it, I got this equation, summation over I log omega by dou ni minus alpha minus beta I into dni equal to 0. So this is the case, and if I go further, this is the distribution function I am going to get. Finally, the distribution function is ni by gi. Ni by gi equal to, I write here, the distribution function is see, ni by gi equal to 1 by e power alpha plus beta Ea. This is for classical. This is a case of classical system. Similarly, you can write and go for the other things, like you can go for quantum system, where for the case of Fermi-Dirac distribution you can write 1 by something into e power beta E plus 1, and for the case of Bose-Einstein system I can write 1 by some b into e power beta e minus 1. Okay. So, this is classical and quantum distributions. So, Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, suppose if we differentiate everything, particles are identical but distinguishable. So, we can apply this for ideal gases, where the distribution function, how the particles are distributed, can be written as f mb equal to a e power minus beta e. Then if you go for Bose-Einstein distribution, particles are identical and indistinguishable and with integral spin, the distribution function can be written as 1 by e power beta e into something minus 1. Okay. Here it can be applicable for photons, liquid helium. Then it is if you go for further Fermi-Dirac distribution, particles are identical and indistinguishable. So, it is the distribution can be function can be written as e power alpha plus beta ei or e power e minus ef by kt plus 1. Here do not bother about this alpha and e power, because both are same. Alpha can be written as mu into minus mu into beta. So, here plus 1 is for Fermi-Dirac distribution and minus 1 is for Bose-Einstein distribution and 0 is for Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. So, I write f of e equal to 1 by e power plus alpha plus beta e for the case of Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. For the case of Bose-Einstein, 1 by e power alpha plus beta ei minus 1. For the case of Fermi-Dirac distribution, the distribution function can be written as e power alpha plus beta ei plus 1. Then we can apply this one to different distribution laws. Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution can be applicable to real gases. Fermi-Dirac distribution can be applicable to electron gas, neutron gas and white dwarf gas. White dwarf, it is nothing but a sun. Okay, neutron star, you can apply for neutron star, white dwarf and electron gas. Bose-Einstein distribution can be applicable to photon gas. Okay. So, these properties can be studied, and thank you. Once again, this is a class what I would like to teach you, and once again I would like to thank to our beloved secretary sir for giving me this opportunity. Thank you one and all.